Alrighty. It's always lovely when you come back to your stream and the first thing you have to do is ban people. Have to okay. So, to start with, we've got... Thanks, D-Slayer. I'm not muted, am I? Nope. Okay. So, to start with, we're going to play a League of Green Tron. This is what I know some people want to see. So, this is a list that is new, that recently 5-0'd with one change. A couple things I want to talk about in this list. Something that is alternative to the lists that I have been playing. First major change is we're not playing Yavimaya. Almost no one, and I mean no one, has been playing Void Mirror. Yavimaya does make Sundering Titan better out of the board, but that is very, very narrow, and we kind of want to stick to 18 lands. Going up to 19 adds some consistency issues if you're not playing, you know, like a Nurturing Peat land as a sack land, that kind of a thing. So we've got Boseiju who endures in the Yavimaya slot. That's change number one. Change number two, we're running 3 Walking Ballistas in the main. Now, I've not been a huge fan of Walking Ballista in Green Tron, but I can see it as early interactions, not bad. Pings Planeswalkers, deals with Ragavan, things like that. But also, Walking Ballista is a threat that will scale up to the point that you can sack Sanctum of Ugin. So you can play it early and ping something, or you can play it late, sack Sanctum of Ugin, and get a real haymaker. Thank you, Speed Force Punch. This is a 3 Stone list, which tells me we're going to need to be wiping when we don't have Tron, basically. Otherwise, it would be better to probably play a All Is Dust. And then at the top end, we've got 2 Wurmcoils for Karn Liberated, of course, 2 Ugin Spirit Dragons, and 2 Ulamog the Ceaseless Hungers. Now, sideboards where things get interesting. This version is playing 2 Wilt, 2 Force. The third Force I replaced Crucible of Worlds for. I understand there's a lot more land destruction in this format, but I'm not playing Crucible of Worlds. I think it's still bad, no matter what. That's true. That is an interaction you can do with Relic of Progenitus and with Walking Ballista. The other big thing out of the sideboard is we're playing 2 Ulamog the Infinite Gyre. Now, the only reason I can think that we're playing this is as an additional bring-in against control decks, and as a way to deal with mill. Ulamog the Infinite Gyre is a little bit better than Kozilek in terms of cast trigger. It does cost 1 more, which makes it a lot more difficult to cast when you're playing Tron, because 10 mana is just Tron plus Tower extra, whereas 11 mana is Tron plus Tower extra plus extra land, or plus 2 Tron lands that you know, aren't Tower, that sort of a thing. But it's interesting. This is a 5-0 list, so somebody was lucky enough to win with it, and we're going to take our turn at trying it. -1 Crucible of Worlds, because I still believe that card is awful in Tron. So, without any further ado, let's get into round 1, shall we? Oh no, I think, personally, I have a preference for Kozilek. I think the card is, in general, better. The land destruction or the permanent destruction, if your opponent has you locked out of, like, casting other stuff at the moment, like you top deck an Ulamog the Infinite Gyre and you can play it. It's fairly decent if you if your opponent plays like a Planeswalker and you can hit the Planeswalker with the cast trigger. That's actually quite huge. Generally, they get instant advantage off of that, like Teferi or Jace drew them a card, right? But if you can blow it up on the first turn, it's not so bad. It replaced itself, and then you get a threat, but, you know. Hey, Thesis Research, how's it going? And I'm going to do a quick plug for myself here, because I'm not sponsored by anybody. If you like Green Tron, or you like Cabal Coffers specifically, those are the decks I'll be playing the most in the immediate near future. I've got a patron deck request to play through, which for eggs. And I also have a new variant of Storm coming along that Bone Daddy himself and I have been working on that I'm quite excited about. I'm not sure we're all the way there yet, but there's something there that, you know, I think is worth it. So if you like that kind of content, please follow me on YouTube, follow me on Twitch, enter my Discord, !Discord on Twitch, otherwise there'll be a link in the YouTube description, or on my Twitch profile page. I think we can do better on 6. We can definitely do better on 5 than this. And of course, if you want to support me directly and maybe even get a patron deck request for yourself, there is a link to my Patreon in the same locations. So, plus, then you get to have your name in the really, really cool outro sequence that isn't just white text on a black background, like everyone else. And even if you know, you were feeling generous and gave me just $1 a month, that's a huge amount. So it's more than I'd ever make off ad revenue if you watched me everywhere else. So just putting that perspective. It looks like we are against either Hammer or it could be the Affinity deck. I'm gonna guess it's Hammer. Okay. Opponent plays an Esper Sentinel. We untap. We draw Sylvan Scrying. Play a tower. Pass the turn. I kind of wish we had Great Creator in this situation, as it tends to shut down Hammer just a little bit harder. But we'll see. As long as our opponent doesn't go Sigarda's Aid Hammer this turn, we're probably okay. We just need to avoid that. Okay, Springleaf Drum to start. Into a second Esper Sentinel. But I'm going to go to combat, attack us for 1. That's fine. Getting a Blast Zone here would not be bad, but, I mean, we're going to tutor for Tron and play Karn Liberated, because that's what we're here to do. Opponent will get to draw some cards off of it, so they will likely find another land. We need Power Plant. Got to make sure you tutor for the right land if you're playing Tron. You know, if you're me, sometimes you don't. Walking Ballista, in this circumstance, I think is actually just a little bit better than Karn. And it's not frequent that it is, but here it makes a pretty big difference because we can kill our opponent's draw engines, we can take them off Metalcraft, it limits their options for how they want to spend their mana. Play a Relic. Might as well make them exile. The only way that this doesn't work is if they go exactly like land Sigarda's Aid Hammer onto Ornithopter. But that would not be lethal. We would be able to Karn Liberated to take the Ornithopter away from them. It's possible I should have waited. Triple blue, Psy Master Thopterist. Okay, this does look more like the Affinity deck than it does Hammer. One downside to those printings is they look eerily similar when the deck viewer window while tutoring. Yes, this particular set of Tron lands, I believe he means. Okay, so we're going to play Chromatic Sphere. Sack for green. We get a Chromatic Star. Sylvan Scrying. Let's go get a redundant tower. Basically free to do this. Play Karn. Nuke Psy. Psy represents a huge threat. And the game is over. Fantastic. So Force of Vigors and Wilts coming in 100%. I think we're definitely keeping the Walking Ballistas. We're dropping an Ulamog. I think we're cutting Ugin entirely because they don't play almost any colored artifacts unless they have the Thopter Sword combo, and that's not likely. Even if they did, we still have Oblivion Stone, and we'll have a lot more artifact destruction in the main deck. Keeping the relics into cycle is, I don't think, bad in this circumstance. I could bring in Chalice of the Void to drop it on 0. That could limit them, but I am on the draw. Sigma, welcome back. Karn actually does have some utility here, although he is worse because they tend to spam the board full of stuff. As for what else to cut, do I have in this list... I do not have an Oblivion Stone in the Wishboard. I'm actually going to put an Oblivion Stone in the Wishboard. And I'm going to cut one Karn, and we're going to try it like this. Is Kano quiet for anyone else today? Good question. I'll turn my voice up here just a little bit. You got to let me know if that's better. Oh, this is this is so close. If we had 2 different Tron lands, this would be perfect. However, we don't. I think we got a mulligan. We're going to have to go to 5. I'm very happy with how my beard looks today, by the way. I spent some time this morning, got it all nice and oiled up, so it looks a lot better. I will keep natural Tron. We'll put back Expedition Map, and if I'm keeping Stirrings, I'm keeping Sphere, and I'm putting back O Stone. Hopefully we can find it. Glad to hear that. Okay, opponent leads on Hollowed Fountain into Springleaf Drum. Nothing else. Alright, let's play an Urza's Mine. Let's play Chromatic Sphere. And we'll pass the turn. Okay, opponent untaps. Okay, they play an Urza's Saga, which we're not particularly scared of. If you don't have forces, would it be better to sub for Nature's Claim? Been wanting to try this list, but don't have forces. Forces, obviously, it's the best thing in the slot. I don't think anybody is going to argue with that. But if you don't have Force, I recommend playing Wilt over Nature's Claim. The life gain off Nature's Claim doesn't generally matter if you hit yourself. Wilt cycling matters a lot. And Wilt cycling matters if your opponent doesn't have any artifacts you need to hit, or it's just in general, I think, a little more useful to draw a card than it is to gain the life. And this list is running them in tandem, so... The other problem with Nature's Claim is a lot of decks are pretty frequently playing Chalice. They'll play Chalice on 1. They'll even do it versus Tron. And if they do, they can kind of take out your, your action. We will be taking Blast Zone 100%. Unfortunately, no threat. Play Power Plant. Pass the turn. Yeah, happy to help. Happy to give recommendations whenever people think it's helpful. Okay, opponent lets Urza's Saga tick up to 2. They play a Flooded Strand. Okay. We untap. We draw Ulamog. I am going to play out Tower, because if I top deck another Tower, I can just play Ulamog and everything is hunky-dory. If I don't, I may have to Blast Zone. It kind of depends on what else gets played here. So, off of Saga, they frequently get Shadow Spear. They might get Pithing Needle. In my opponent's deck, unless they really need that Springleaf Drum mana, they generally get a 1-mana artifact, as it's just like a little bit more tempo. And Shadow Spear goes along with the constructs quite good, as does Pithing Needle, because they can like preemptively name Karn, or they could name Blast Zone, or they could name Oblivion Stone. But us getting Blast Zone and them knowing we have it means they might name it. We do want to get to another tower, of course. They go for Pithing Needle. That's reasonable. They floated mana as well. They choose Karn Liberated. Okay. Well, luckily we don't have a Karn Liberated. If we did, we would have played him. But they're trying to limit our top decks. It's probably Psy, then, they're playing alongside this construct. It's interesting that they're tapping... Oh, it's Nettlecyst. Okay. Alright. We could be dead by just them playing artifacts as well, because these guys scale really, really quickly. We draw Sylvan Scrying, so let's go ahead and try and do that. We'll get a redundant tower, I believe. And hopefully our opponent can't just play like 5 Thoughtcasts and a million artifacts and we just die to scaling artifact threats. How about that? Sissia, welcome. Good to see ya. Okay, opponent plays another Saga. It's pretty good. So right now, when I cast Ulamog, I think the key hits will be taking out Nettlecyst and probably taking out Saga. Okay, opponent has a Thoughtcast. They probably should have done that pre-combat, I imagine. Because if they were drawing more artifacts, they'd want to play them to scale these guys up. It might have been a punt by the opponent, or they might be playing a list that's drastically different than what I'm used to. Both is possible. We'll play Ulamog. I could take out both threats, but they're just going to make more off Saga. Better to limit their mana and take out their equipment. Yeah, no, I'm doing fine. I just, like, for the reason I'm not streaming on Wednesdays is because I do have a full-time job. So, I get up very early, and when I do, like, I'm talking like 4 a.m., and I start streaming at like 3 or 4 my time, and then I want to stream for 4 hours, and I have to go to bed at 8. Like, I sleep. That's when I sleep. That is the healthiest time for me to go to sleep. So, you know, it's one of those things that I can't be burning the candle at both ends all the time. Hi, my name is Kano. I have a full-time job, and I'm better than you. That is not what I said at all. That is a gross misattribution of all of those words. Another Nettlecyst. Okay, well, Blast Zone's going to take out a few things here. That's what we all heard. Oh, gosh. Well, we're taking 6 and going to 5. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play Blast. Unless I top deck an O-Stone or an Ancient Stirrings, I'm probably going to play Blast Zone, crack it, and then put Walking Ballista on 4. No worries, no worries. I you know, if I felt like there was something in my life that I truly needed to worry about, I probably would stress a little bit to my followers and stuff on social medias. Like, I'd let you guys know. But right now, I don't really have anything to worry about. Everything is good. Okay, we take a bunch of damage. D-Slayer says you're a good boy, poor D-Slayer says. I realized he kind of hadn't been hanging out with me down here because it was cold. So I I put on the I put some blankets down for him, and he likes that a lot more. Okay, so if I play Blast Zone, I can blow up these 3 things. Then I can play Walking Ballista on 4. This is a 4/4. This is a 4/4. No. This is a 3/3, and this is a 3/3. So I could actually kill one of them. That's fair. This is one of the few streams where you can pet the dog by redeeming channel points. Wizards trying to push Tron out of the metagame? Oh, it's news to me. Yeah, let's go ahead and deal with the 1-drops here. Okay, and we'll play a big old Walking Ballista. Now I could ping down the construct token here. I'm not going to do that because there's some chance my opponent tries to re-equip to Ornithopter before combat to try and get the damage in. And by us leaving Ballista with counters on it, it's going to be easier to deal with that situation, we'll see. Thank you all for tuning in, by the way. I see we've got quite a number of people here. A few names I don't recognize, so appreciate it. All of your viewership. It's very nice. It's very reassuring. Thank you all. They are going to attempt to re-equip. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and ping down Ornithopter. They're coming here for the expert level Tron gameplay. I mean, I'm doing fairly good right now. Okay, what we're going to do is block here and then ping down the token. I could just block and trade, but this saves me 2 life, and I'm very desperately low on life right now. So I could have gone to 1 and then just leveled up Ballista a bunch, but I don't think that's worth it. Okay. We draw Wilt. Wilt is nice. So the first thing I'm going to do is Chromatic Star. Go ahead and filter for green. See what we draw. Another Chromatic Star. I've not played a land yet. I probably should just Sylvan Scrying for a tower. So let's do that. No, the only reason I play Tron is because I'm fairly decent at playing Tron. It's not actually a deck I enjoy that much. Believe it or not. It's a deck that a lot of people want to see how to play, so, you know, got to give people what they want, and if I'm decent at it, might as well. But see, I had that deck before Wastes were a basic, so that was fun. Someone Blood Mooned you and you were just done. Sack the star, see what we draw. Another tower. Good old Quadra tower. Okay. So we'll Sylvan Scrying, and I'm going to go ahead and get Sanctum of Ugin, because this way if I draw anything really big, I can just immediately... I could get Boseiju, actually, but I can only play one more green thing this turn, and it's probably going to be Wilt. I think Sanctum... Boseiju might be the safer play. Sanctum is the more powerful play. I want to go with Boseiju, actually. And just in case of Metallic Rebuke... I'm going to Wilt on my turn here. I actually have an EDH deck now. I've got Lord of Tressorhorn Zombies. I just don't play it because it's not fun. It's not fun for me to play. The earlier stream I mentioned I don't like playing EDH because I don't like politics in my Magic. It's just not fun for me. So I don't like playing multiplayer EDH. And because nobody really plays Dual Commander, anybody that I know anyway, like that format, because it has a different ban list and it's a higher power ban list, it's in the same order of like even less fun for me to play. And that was different. Like when you have a group of like 3 of your best friends to play Magic, you know, and you kind of, that's a little different in terms of politics. But we'll play the 4th Urza's Tower, pass the turn. But like if I want to go play, you know, at FNM or whatever other Magic, it generally ends up with either I don't have fun or other people don't have fun. So, all right, we've won round 1. That's good news. We'll be shipping it back. We're going to round 2. I was going to say, you really want people to not have fun if you want to play Commander. Play Erebos as your Commander. The first one from Original Theros, because having an Indestructible Greed as your Commander in mono black, you just play a whole bunch of kill spells and board wipes and play Fun Police. I used to play that deck in multiplayer Commander because nobody would ever deal with anyone else's threats. Like somebody would play a card that would like threaten to win the game next turn. That's true. You actually had most of that deck before I did. Erebos is a much better Commander than Chainer is. I think less fun though, because like I think you can do cool things with Chainer's ability. There's a worse Commander in Kaldheim. Is it Egon? Yeah, this seems pretty good. It's not terrible. We are on the draw, and we are reliant on Chromatic Star, but opponent did mulligan to 6, and they played a Hollowed Fountain tapped. We draw Expedition Map. I'm going to play this because this does give us the ability to get to turn 3 Tron. If my opponent has Prismatic Ending, it's actually less punishing for them to take Expedition Map. You may have sold it to me, and that's when I started playing it. I honestly don't remember. That was almost 10 years ago now. Well, actually, it was 10 years ago now, because that was before college was even over. So, for me, anyway. I have no idea what my opponent's playing. Hollowed Fountain is no longer indicative that they are straight-up control. And generally, if they are playing control, they'll reveal Kahira. Is it 9? Because I still consider 9 years close enough to a decade to shortcut to decade. Is Spirit still good in Modern? I have not actually run into Spirits for a long time, so I have no idea. Is this the same person? It is not. Okay. This might be Spirits. We draw Ugin the Spirit Dragon. If this is Spirits, do they play anything that can counter... Oh yeah, Turgid. Turgid would be very good. Could be humans, yeah. Dick Record, good to see you, by the way. I didn't call it out, but I wanted to thank you for all the social media exposure you've been giving me. I have been trying to catch one of your streams, and I have not been able to... we need Urza's Mine. It looks like this might just be death and taxes. I have not been able to get online anytime I get a notification for you streaming. We draw another Urza's Mine. The play Urza's Mine. I can only cast one spell a turn, so we're going to play Walking Ballista. You can set up the stream deck to tweet when you go live. Yes, yes, that's true. I just don't use my Twitter. I do, but, like, I don't. So... you just yell and cry on stream. Second Archon of Emeria. If we draw basic forest, our opponent is going to be very sad. Do I want to trade for Unsettled Mariner? Yes, I do, because if I play Karn, then I can start nuking the Archons. Not trading Ballista is only better if I draw basic, and I didn't. So I'll play Karn. Okay, we've gotten game one. It appears our opponent is playing some sort of blue-white death and taxes. I don't know a list for that, so I'm going to see if there's one that's finished recently, because if there is not. There is not. So this is some brew that I'm going to be it's going to be in my blind spot. Dude, nice. Nice. Yeah, people need to respect Countercat, or not Countercat, Saheeli Cat combo. Countercat something else. Countercat something way older. Okay, so my opponent's probably playing... if they're blue-white, they're playing Prismatic Ending. They could be playing Spreading Seas. That is a possibility. They will be playing the Aether Vial. So I think I'm going to bring in Force and Wilt. I'm going to drop Relic. Grave Hate probably doesn't matter. Ulamog is a little bit ambitious to get to. Oblivion Stone can go on the Wishboard. Adds Kano Wurmcoil, even though Wurmcoil is good in this matchup. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that looks like a powerful list. And if you want to see the powerful list, join the Discord. All right, we are going to keep this. Opponent leads on Aether Vial. We're going to lead on Mine, play Map. We're going to pray our opponent doesn't go turn 2, what's his face? Leonin Arbiter. Kataki. Okay. Well, if I want to keep this map, I got to pay for it. And I think the answer is yes, I want to keep this map. Play Tower. This does actually delay us some, so pass the turn. Opponent has to decide whether or not they're going to keep Aether Vial. Do the Tron lands line themselves up in the client to form the panorama? They do not. You have to play them in that order. Okay, opponent plays land. Now, if they vial in Leonin Arbiter on our turn, it's going to be a bad time. So we are going to crack Honor Upkeep. If they got it, they got it. And it looks like they got it. Lavinia. Each opponent can't cast non-creature spells with mana value greater than the number of lands that player controls. Thankfully, it is not Leonin Arbiter. Also, this might be Knowledge Pool Lock. So we are going to get Power Plant here. We do not have to pay for Expedition Map, of course. Nice. That's quite good, Sigma. We will not be paying for that, of course. We draw another map. So play Power Plant. Play Sphere. Sack Sphere for green. Ancient Stirrings. Can't play Ugin. Can play Karn, because I will have 4 lands next turn. So I think we are going to pick up Karn. If my opponent is able to destroy one of our lands, Ghost Quarter us, something like that, we should still be able to play Karn. We can play Wurmcoil Engine, although it might get pathed. Okay, Vial ticking up to 3. They are going to pay to keep the Vial as well. Don't know that I'm a huge fan of Kataki in the... Death and Taxes versus Tron matchup. It might be better than something that's in the main deck, but we don't have a lot of artifacts that stick around on board. Not usually, anyway. I've got a couple of options here. I can play Blast Zone and activate it immediately, which would force my opponent to put in a 3-drop. And I could follow that up with Karn, or I could follow that up with any number of smaller artifacts. Or I can play Wurmcoil. Could wish for Ballista just off of Karn as well. I think we're going to do that. I think that's the best option here. Karn forces them to do something. If it's something with an enter the battlefield effect, we can respond. Wurmcoil is definitely not bad. Okay. That is unfortunate. That is not the end of the world. Do I want to get rid of Aether Vial from this position? I don't. With Lavinia on board, I don't actually want to sack any of my own lands here. So I think I'm going to Chromatic Star. and Ancient Stirrings. There's another Karn Great Creator. We can also just get Oblivion Stone. That's probably good. So opponent would need like a Pithing Needle. We are going to sack Star immediately, even though there's not really any value, because we do need to draw land. There's Boseiju, which I can't play. There's no reason to really play out a map, and we're just going to wait. Now, if our opponent if our opponent has another Spell Queller or counterspell to get rid of Oblivion Stone, we might be in trouble. But if they can't do anything about the Oblivion Stone, they are toast. We play a tap land. Okay, they're going to hit us for 6. We go to 8. Untap. We draw Expedition Map. Is it more likely that they have Spell Queller 2 or that they have a Path? If I play Wurmcoil and they have Path, we're dead. If I play O-Stone and they have a Queller, we're dead. And I cannot Blast Zone or Boseiju to clear the way first. It's probably more likely they have another Queller. I guess in that case, it would be better to play Wurmcoil. They have both and a counterspell? You're probably right. Watch me get Unified Will. Like, not even actual counterspell. Just for the BM. Okay. I'm going to play out Boseiju here. And we are going to play Map. Just to guarantee we get a few land drops here. Watch them Violin Flicker Wisp. Just take out my Wurmcoil and there's nothing I can do. Uh-oh. Yeah, it's a Path. If they have anything they can vial in, we are toast. And they do. Unless it's a 1-3, like a... Nope. Alright, well. O-Stone would have been better. There was no way to know. Okay. No adjustments. Let's run it back. We're on the play, which should give us a pretty significant advantage in Game 3. I mean, unless we have hands like this, so let's mulligan. Okay, almost natural Tron. We do have Force, and we have cards to pitch to Force, and we have a cheaper threat. I'm going to keep this, and I think I am going to put back... It's either Scrying or Stirrings. Stirrings is easier to cast, but Scrying guarantees Tron. We don't really need Tron if we have Karn, so I think we'll put back Scrying. Hopefully I don't regret that. Alright. Lead on mine. Pass the turn. Opponent starts Hallowed Fountain. Aether Vial. Okay. I'm going to do this immediately. It's pretty aggressive, but frequently players who play decks that have Aether Vial in it will keep hands based on whether or not it's viable with Vial. Okay, we draw another Sylvan Scrying, and we have another Force. So we can cast another Force. Unfortunately, we do not have Tron. Okay. They play a Glasspool Shore. So the trick with our opponent's deck is they can flicker this with Flicker Wisp, and it enters as a clone of Flicker Wisp, basically. That is something we need to watch out for. Karn Liberated is good if we can get to Tron. If only this hand had an Expedition Map at the opener. Okay, opponent plays another Aether Vial. And is passing. I am going to go for it. We untap. We draw another Karn. Oh, come on. We just need a land. All the other cards we pitched we can't cast yet. We just need a land. Okay, opponent plays a Flooded Strand. They have a Kataki. Okay, Sanctum is something. Play Karn, Great Creator. Looks like they have a counterspell of some kind. Like a Dovin's Veto, maybe? Yep. Alright. Well, that's one less thing our opponent has. They play an Archon of Emeria. They can only cast one spell a turn. We draw another Urza's Mine, so play a Karn. I'll go ahead and wish. From this setup, Oblivion Stone is tempting, but once again, only if we can assemble Tron. I think we either have to wish for Wurmcoil, which is not going to be that great because our opponent is playing Path, or I need to get Ballista. I'm going to go with Ballista. And we will play an Urza's Mine because we need to get mana onto the board. If we draw a Power Plant, that does turn on our Mines and Tower. So we will still have mana if we get there. Okay, opponent plays a Meddling Mage. They are going to name Walking Ballista. And then they should attack and kill Karn. Okay. We untap, we draw Expedition Map, which, I mean, really, that's probably going to be sufficient. Unfortunately, we will not be able to play Ballista or Karn right away because we can only cast one spell a turn. But we will be able to cast Karn, sack Sanctum, Glasspool Mimic. Opponent copies Meddling Mage. This would be a blind name on Karn if they've got it. Ugin would decimate them if we draw it. They name Ugin the Spirit Dragon, okay. They're going to hit us for 6. We go down to 12. We draw another power plant. So we play Karn, and we sack Sanctum. I will be able to cast an Ulamog. Wurmcoil Engine I can play immediately because I'm going to downtick on Archon. Walking Ballista we still can't cast. Ulamog we can't play till next turn. I'm going to take Wurmcoil, even if they have Path. Okay, so take out Archon. Play Power Plant. Play Wurmcoil Engine. This way they don't have any flyers. They must have some sort of removal to attack Karn effectively, otherwise we're going to gain a ton of life. And we can unlock our Ballista. If they do have Path, then at the very least we will have white mana. Or, I mean, green mana, excuse me. We cannot cast Ugin. We need to draw Oblivion Stone or 4 mana Karn so we can wish for Oblivion Stone. We have so much mana, all the mana in the world. In this specific circumstance, it would have been better to get Ulamog, but only so much you can do. Okay, take us to 10. If they can put 3 more power on board, you can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. Whenever you cast a spell, draw a card. I don't think my opponent drawing extra cards matters. I cannot wilt this clone, so I think cycling here is correct. I can map for Blast Zone. BR Pestana, thank you for following. Sack Expedition Map. Let's go get Blast Zone. Play Blast Zone. Now, I can kill Mausoleum Wanderer if they swing a lethal attack, or I can tick up Blast Zone to 2, unlock Ballista, wipe the board, and win the game. If they don't. Danilo Cordero 6, thank you for following. Okay, opponent attacks for 8. Or 7, we go to 3, excuse me. Charge up Blast Zone. Untap. We draw Sylvan Scrying. So let's blow up the 2-drops. Opponent is going to path their own Meddling Mage. Okay. So they get a land out of the deal, and they get to draw a card, but they can no longer cast any spells, so we do not have to worry about a counter spell of some kind, because they have themselves locked under moderation. We can Sylvan Scrying here to get another tower. Play a tower, and we'll play a enormous Walking Ballista. Okay. And we can immediately kill this, because the opponent can't cast anything. And then we can pass the turn. We are at 3 life, so it is quite precarious. I don't think my opponent has any sort of direct damage they can play, because they're not in the colors that do direct damage to players generally. Opponent plays an Archon of Emeria. Okay, they can't cast any more spells. They play a tap land. I'm going to ping this down now. We untap. We draw Sylvan Scrying. Okay. So let's Sylvan Scrying. I could get Boseiju, but I think we just need more towers. Okay, if we make it to our next turn, our opponent dies. Okay, they're going to flash in a Rattle Chains, which, as it's an enter the battlefield effect, we just ping down Rattle Chains. I don't think Moderation is a strong enough engine for a Death and Taxes deck, especially without Aether Vial. But that makes a lot of sense why they were trying to maintain Aether Vial so much. Okay, opponent plays Lavinia, Azorius Renegade. They cannot cast any more spells this turn. We untap. We draw Ulamog. Let's see, 6, 15, 17, 19, 20. I can put 5 counters on the Ballista, which is not quite lethal. Go to combat. Attack for 5. Okay, opponent chumps, that's fine. Cast Ulamog, and we're going to take out Glasspool Shore and a Hollowed Fountain, and opponent scoops the match. Alright, we're 2-0. I've not reset the punt counter. But for those of you that would enjoy it, I'm going to go ahead and start a prediction. If you want to, you can bet channel points on a prediction outcome. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to enter, and it's whether or not I'm going to win the next match playing this deck. And while that's going, really quickly, I'm going to go ahead and reset the counter because I haven't punted yet during this stream. I did during last stream, though, so... And that was this morning. All right. Queuing up for the next round. Isn't forgetting punts a punt in itself? No. We will be doing some Cabal Coffers brewing after this league. I've had more requests to play Tron, so that's why I'm playing Tron right now. People want to see it. It'll be up on YouTube later. Hi, YouTube people. And for those of you here on Twitch that don't know, because a lot more people just joined, I have a YouTube, and I post a lot of my stream content. A lot of the dead air gets cut out of it. Very happy about my automatic editing script. Highly recommend you go subscribe to me over there. I post new videos generally every week. So, also, this is an announcement because there's more people here now. I will not be streaming next Sunday. I'll be taking 1 week break from streaming because I'm going on a mini vacation out of state, and I really need it. But the streams will resume immediately after. So, not this next week, there will be no stream, and the week after, there will be stream. Okay, this is a mulligan. And this is a mulligan. And this is a mulligan. Keep. Alright, put back Sanctum. Put back Boseiju, and... Actually, I probably should keep Boseiju. Put back Sanctum, Tower, Power Plant. Hey, Toki. Yep, a whole week without me. You guys will have to survive that long. Now, a good friend of mine wants to go see a concert next state over. I was like, all right, sounds fun. Take a 3 or 4 day weekend, really unplug, and I'll feel really good after the fact. So opponent is Burn. They are Luris Burn. Okay, main phase Boros Charm. Gonna do 4 damage to us, then hit us down to 13. This is not a good anti-burn hand, I will say. Oh, it's a little too late. We are going to play it out. I don't think Burn main decks Prismatic Ending, and they definitely don't main deck Smash to Smithereens. It is unfortunate if we're going to have to Sorcery Speed tutor for a Tron land, because we want to be doing that for Tower, not using Tower to do that. We're taking a Lightning Bolt, going to 10, then a Lightning Helix going to 7, and then 3 damage going to 4. Have I tested Engineered Explosives in Green Tron? It's been in the Wishboard, not the main deck. Okay, let's go get Urza's Mine. Yeah, we'll play out map. I'm almost certainly dead here. There's no way they don't have 1 Lightning Bolt. They're Burn. Although they made a land drop every single turn, so it's possible they're holding 3 lands. There's 1. And there's the lethal. Alright. So, versus Burn. I need to make some adjustments. So versus burn, I'm bringing in the last Ballista. We're going to drop the Ulamogs. It's very unlikely we actually can cast them. I'm going to put Chalice in the main deck. I will want some number of Wilt and Force. Karn is actually not that great at all. So I think I'm going to bring in the Wilts and drop 2 Karns. The question is whether or not I want Force. Yes, Tron does occasionally run All Is Dust. It is... So the difference between All Is Dust and Oblivion Stone is... I'm 2-0 right now. The difference between O-Stone and All Is Dust is 1 mana. All Is Dust is better if you need to wipe on turn 3 without interrupting tutoring for Tron. O-Stone is better in every other circumstance. O-Stone is better like if you need to if you're not making Tron and you need to like destroy a bunch of Blood Moons and stuff like that. Force does not trigger what's it called? Eidolon. It's also harder to cast because we don't have Yavimaya, like actual hard cast. I think I would rather just keep in the relics for cycling, so we're not gonna bring in Force, we're just gonna bring in the Wilts. Okay. We'll play first. This is not a fast Tron hand. It might be a more consistent Tron hand, but I think I can do better. This looks better. I will keep this. I'm putting back 1 Oblivion Stone. This is the other circumstance under which Wilt is good. So, like, I'm going to play out Chromatic Star. My opponent is not going to smash to smithereens because they won't have enough mana, but were they to destroy Chromatic Star, I could cycle Wilt still. Okay. Opponent plays a Scalding Tarn, cracks it. Shocks a Sacred Foundry, goes to 17. Plays a Goblin Guide. Alright, Goblin Guide. Show me the power plant. Expedition map. Okay. I don't want to play out Expedition map next turn, because if I do, there's a strong chance it will get smashed. So let's go ahead and cycle the Star, see what we draw. Another Mine. That's not really what we want. So I'm going to play Tower, Relic, and crack Relic. Okay, we get an Ancient Stirrings. One plays a Wooded Foothills, cracks Wooded Foothills. Shocks a Sacred Foundry. Reinforced Ronin. And another Reinforced Ronin. Interesting. Okay, we're taking 6. And we're drawing an Expedition map. That is less good. We untap, play a Mine, play a map, pass the turn. It's not bad. It's not great, though. Like, I almost would rather play Wayward Guidebeast and be picking up my own lands again, because Wayward Guidebeast then sticks around and allows you to start recycling lands. I guess it's worse in multiples, but if I were to play, like, Chalice as an example, Ancient Stirring's on top of our deck. Let's go ahead and go get Power Plant. If I were to go play Chalice, it would be a lot worse for my opponent. I could actually get Blast Zone and save myself from a swing, but I'm also going to do that with Oblivion Stone here. I mean, if my opponent is playing Shrapnel Blast, then that's an excuse to be running Reinforced Ronin. Okay, play Oblivion Stone. I could just be dead to Bolt. Opponent has 3 cards in hand, so that would be unfortunate, but we've drawn no extra cards off guide and no threats. Okay, opponent untaps. They play an Inspiring Vantage tapped. I will be cracking Oblivion Stone for just a Goblin Guide attack here, and I know that might seem a little ridiculous, but the reason that it makes sense is because if they have a Boros Charm, they can still just kill us. We are drawing a Walking Ballista. Okay, they're going to Lightning Helix. Do they have the Bolt? Alright, we're dead to Lightning Bolt. Disappointing. Disappointing. Allow me to finish the outcome for the prediction. Doubters win. Okay, I will go ahead and start a new prediction if you want to bet on round 4. Unless Sigma did right as I finished it. Did you open a new prediction? Okay, yeah. I got the error on prediction creation message, so I assumed you did. Alright, round 4, here we go. We are against a Lurrus deck, and this hand is awful. This hand is better. Pretty significantly better. I'm going to be putting back the redundant Power Plant. Let's hope they don't lead on Thoughtseize. They lead on Bobble. Bobble themselves. Probably trying to get information before they fetch, or whether they should fetch. Okay, they shock a Blood Crypt. And play Ragavan. Opponent draws. We draw Walking Ballista. Play Power Plant, play Star, pass the turn. If my opponent plays a land, they could K-command to take us off of Star, which would suck. But if they did that, then we would probably have to counter by playing Ballista and immediately killing Ragavan. They're going to attack first, get more information. It's relatively smart. They exile an Urza's tower, so they get nothing to play. We do get Thoughtseized. As long as it's not double Thoughtseized, we can at least still cast Stirrings. I mean, they can take Karn as well. I'm assuming they're taking Scrying, but really, any choice here is not a terrible one for them. They take Scrying. They play Scalding Tarn. They could be setting up for a Drown in the Loch to counter Ancient Stirrings. That would also not be unreasonable for our opponent. If we suspect Drown in the Loch, we could play Walking Ballista and just ping Ragavan. That is probably safer, but I'm still going to go for it, because I want to see what I'm drawing here. Second Ancient Stirrings is not that great. Play Tower, and now that I did sack Star, I can't play Ballista into Drown in the Loch. Well, like, it would just be, like, the same. They would just counter Ballista. So, unfortunately, they did have it. They kind of telegraphed it. Hopefully they don't have a second, and hopefully they don't hit anything important. I could have played Ballista to play around that, and I did acknowledge that. I just took the wrong line. There's also the chance that we just, like, top deck power plant, or we top deck mine next turn, and we're totally fine. Opponent's going to hit us for 2. They exile another Urza's tower. That's 2 of 4, 1 on the battlefield, so 3 of 4 seen. Looks like an expressive iteration. That's exactly what it is. Opponent gets to hide 1 card in hand, exile another. They get a Steam Vents in exile. They play it. Okay, they shock it too, which tells me that this may be another Drown in the Loch. Okay, well, we have no choice. Dress down. Okay. That does kill Ballista. Black Lotus, how's it going? We'll be doing some brewing after this league with Green Tron. Currently on match 4. We're 2-1. Opponent hits us with Ragavan. This card really is much more powerful. This is super innocuous looking. No worries. No worries. Opponent plays a swamp. They may play out this Ballista. We're getting Thoughtseized. I think they take Wurmcoil, because they could just, like, bolt Karn. Karn's not a problem. Yep, there goes the Wurmcoil. It could be a Ballista on 1. That's what it looks like. Yep. Okay. We untap. Show me the Urza's mine. I mean, it starts with the right letter, but it's kind of the opposite. Pass the turn. They attack us for 3. Opponent exiles Sanctum of Ugin. It's probably a Kroxa. Yep, it's a Kroxa. So, unfortunately, we gotta get rid of Ugin. Because we are so far away from an Ugin. Opponent may just reanimate Kroxa here. And they play a Polluted Delta. That's actually looking quite likely. Absolute best possible hand for the opponent involves, like, reanimate Kroxa, have Spell Pierce. I'm pretty sure we're dead on attacks for next turn. So, like, how we get out of this is, like, top-decking Final Tron piece, play Ensnaring Bridge, delay a turn, opponent hit bricks, and then we do anything else. It's very unlikely, though. Okay. We just didn't draw anything. Alright. Wilts and Forces in. Opponent plays Alpine Moons. We do actually have to respect that, as kind of silly as that is. Versus this opponent, almost everything we have is good. I'm going to put an Oblivion Stone in the side. Karn is a little bit less good, so I'm actually going to cut a couple Karns. Walking Ballista. If we're casting Walking Ballista early, we're probably losing, so I think I'm going to trim 1 Ballista. And I'm going to go down to 1 Oblivion Stone, actually. I would like to play first. This hand is no good. This hand is better, but still not great. Double Relic is tempting. And I can put back Ugin. Otherwise, I'm going to 5. We are on the play. I'm going to go to 5. And I'm glad I did. We're going to put back Wilt and Ugin. Lead on power plant, play map. Opponent untaps. Shocks a Blood Crypt. Plays a Ragavan. We untap, we draw a star. Play a tower. Pass the turn. I still like that card. And there's definitely a build that plays it. Okay, opponent's going to attack us with Ragavan. There's nothing we can do about that. Opponent exiles a Chromatic Star. And they are going to Thoughtseize us. Sure. Pretty sure they take Karn. There's just nothing else they can do. Yeah, that's true. Grave Titan's fun. It is. It's at a difficult spot on the curve, and it's not like... I don't know that it's the best 6-mana threat. It's one of the more impactful ones, and you do get value immediately, but... Okay, opponent's going to play Chromatic Star. It's kind of interesting. Let's go get Urza's Mine. We draw another Urza's Mine. Okay. Play Chromatic Star. Cycle for green. Well, we found Wurmcoil. Play Wurmcoil. That's very good against our opponent. Opponent untaps. Okay. Opponent cycles Chromatic Star from, our Chromatic Star. And they shock a Watery Grave. And then they pass. They may dress down to try to stop us from gaining life. Let's attack with Wurmcoil. This could also be a K command. Okay, play an Urza's Mine, pass the turn. We're probably going to end up cycling this Wilt. Interesting that they did not dress down to stop us from gaining life, but it looks like they're going to dress down, untap, and then K command Wurmcoil so we don't get tokens. That's not a bad line. It lets them split up the mana over a couple turns. It means Ragavan's just a Jackal Pup for a turn. I think the card's underrated. I still don't I'm not sure that it's great. I've played them in the sideboard of some decks before, like way back in the day when I played Ad Nauseam in Modern. You could play Grave Titan out of the side as like your opponent's going to bring in a bunch of combo hate. You just cast a Grave Titan off a Lotus Bloom. All right. Well, they're going to drown in the lock their own Ragavan to enable Delirium for Unholy Heat. That's interesting. It works. You should have attacked first, I imagine. You could have... No, I guess never mind. I think you should have attacked first, opponent. You missed 2 damage. Okay, let's cycle. We draw Sylvan Scrying. Get a Chromatic Sphere, so play Chromatic Sphere. Cycle for green. Draw Karn. I can play Karn and then have 6 mana. I can play Karn and then have 7 mana if I Sylvan Scrying. No. Play Karn. I'm going to just see if this guy resolves first. He does. So I can either put Ballista on 3 or I can put Chalice on 1, and I think it's Chalice. Espinoris, thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate that. Tron, A Lily Dreaming. Let's go get Chalice. Put Chalice on 1. Opponent scoops. Awesome. I think we are set up as good as we can be, so I'm going to run it back. Alright, well, we've got 2/3 of Tron, we've got a Threat, we've got a Stirrings, and a Wilt that we can cast off a basic. I'm actually going to keep this. Blast Zone does make this hand better. I'm kind of expecting a Thoughtseize here. There it is. Yeah, this is one of the better hands to hold up against Thoughtseize, that's for sure. They take Ancient Stirrings right off the bat. That's interesting. So they're trying to stop us from assembling Tron, it sounds like. We draw Wurmcoil, which is good. I'm going to play a Power Plant, pass the turn. They did not crack Bauble until their main phase, which tells me they're kind of desperate for cards. They're trying to manipulate and see whether or not they should fetch first before doing something. Okay, they don't like what's on top of their deck, so they're going to shuffle it away. They play a Watery Grave, and they play a Ragavan. Okay, not sure why you wouldn't dash it there, unless you have Spell Pierce. We're probably not casting Wilt. I don't think we're going to need to cast Wilt. So we're going to play the tower and probably end up cycling it, looking for mine. I do suspect opponent is like playing the Spell Pierce right now. That's what they're broadcasting to me. They are going to Mishra's Bauble, our top deck. Opponent attacks for 2. I'm going to cycle it. Hopefully this isn't the wrong order. Well, we draw another power plant. Let's see what we exile. Expedition map. Well, we would have gotten to Tron that way. And if my opponent is starved for lands, they may actually just play map. They do. This is their turn 3, so they could sack map with the treasure token. Okay. They have the lands for it, so they're not worried. We untap. They draw an extra card. We draw a redundant tower. We're going to play a redundant tower. Pass the turn. Opponent's going to sack map on our end step. Okay, they sack map. They get a Bloodstained Mire. So we do have a Blast Zone, which I think my opponent has seen based on when they thought seized. These cards, I think Wurmcoil was the first card they didn't see. So they're likely to play around a Blast Zone. There goes our Urza's Mine. That's unfortunate. Okay, we're getting Inquisitioned. Inquisition's a complete whiff. It's just a peek. There's like 3 or 4 different variations of that deck. Only 2 of them I've played, and I'm pretty sure there's more than that. There is also a combo version. Okay, we're getting Thought Seized. Pretty sure opponent takes Karn, because that's what we're threatening to play next turn. There's definitely a Reanimator version using coffers as a backup plan. That exists. Okay, opponent takes Karn. We drew the Urza's Mine. I mean, we gotta go for it. Opponent can't drown this, so they would have to have another Dress Down plus Unholy Heat, or Dress Down plus Bolt ×2, or... Okay, opponent fetches the Bloodstained Mire. Gets a Steam Vents tapped. That's encouraging. They play a Blood Crypt tapped. Looks like they're putting Lurrus into their hand. They are. Okay. We untap. We draw Chromatic Sphere. So play Sphere. We're going to cycle. See what we draw. Relic. That's pretty nice. Play Relic. I'm tapping like this for a reason. Relic. Alright. I guess I should have Blast Zoned prior to Relicking, but... Play a Blast Zone. Go to combat. Attack for 6. Opponent should chump. Unless they have a way to kill this. Like, they could K-Command here. It looks like that's actually what they have. They'll force us to discard. So we'll discard a Tron land. Doesn't really matter. Okay. Get our worms. Yeah, I'm going to call that a punt. I should have left Relic up and then waited to Blast Zone, or waited to Relic after I Blast Zoned. Things like that. Had I done that and I draw Karn, I could have immediately wished for Wurmcoil again, which would be pretty backbreaking for my opponent. I just didn't think about it. Okay, opponent does not attack. I can Blast Zone now. I don't think there's any reason to be honest. We draw Sylvan Scrying, so go to combat. Attack for 6. Okay, opponent's going to block the Death Touch one. Probably going to Bolt the Link one. They could also, because they don't have Delirium, just have like Bolt Unholy Heat and kill both. Or they could K-Command to kill both tokens. That's exactly what's happening. Alright, this way we don't gain any life. Okay, Ragavan down, if temporarily. Let's play a Forest, and we'll go ahead and Sylvan Scrying. We already have all the mana we need. I think what I'm going to do is grab Boseiju, just as kind of a tech possibility. I don't know that there's anything my opponent could play that I would actually use it on, but you never... Like, getting another tower here doesn't really do anything for us. We already have Sanctum. We already have a Forest and Blast Zone on battlefield, so this might be a hand check, or it's just Lurrus. Gonna cast Ragavan. If they dash Ragavan, I think I am gonna actually Blast Zone. It's kind of aggressive, but I don't want them getting more mana, and if I could delay it for a turn. If we top deck a threat, we're just fine. He's snoring right now. Do you still want me to, Dick Record? I will if you want me. I don't know if you want to wake him. Okay. If you remind me when he wakes up. Alright, we draw Ulamog. That's perfect. So play Sanctum. Got an Ulamog. Nuke Luris. Nuke a land. Alright, we win the match. Believers, you get your points. Alright. So we are 3-1 going into round 5. Go ahead and start up another prediction. You have 2 minutes to enter. Dick Record says you're a good boy. Dick Record says you're a good boy. He's got one eye open and peeking on me because the can open. All right, round 5. Here we go. Just as a reminder to all the new viewers, we will be brewing with Coffer's Control probably after this league. We are against a control deck. This is not a terrible hand to have against control, so I actually think I'm going to keep it. Opponent was last seen playing Murktide Regent, according to the bot. They could still technically be playing like Jeskai Murktide. I just haven't seen that before. We draw Boseiju. I'm going to run out map. If they tap out for Prismatic Ending, we can resolve a Sylvan Scrying. Could be Elementals. That's getting rarer. It's not impossible, but it is getting rarer. Okay, the exile map, they play another tap land. We draw another power plant, so Sylvan Scrying, let's go get Urza's Mine. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Castle Vantress. This is 100% control. They put Kahira in their hand. We draw an Urza's Mine, so play Urza's Mine. Play Chromatic Sphere. Sack Sphere for green. We get a Karn. And Sylvan Scrying. Let's go get Tower. So we assembled Tron pretty much uninterrupted. Next turn we're going to play Karn into something that might get countered, and then we're going to follow that up with Ulamog into Ulamog because we have been top decking like a god. Play Karn. Karn resolves. Wish. I could play Trinisphere. It actually would not be bad here. So we're going to try playing Trinisphere. This would stop them from, like, solituding, basically. Because they would have to... They're going to have to spend mana on their turn, basically. Okay, this only counts less for legendary creatures. 4 mana. Opponent gonna cycle Shark Typhoon, make a 2/2. Untap. This also stops them from potentially playing a Teferi, upticking, and expecting to cast a spell. So opponent going to hit Karn down to 1. Okay, they play Big Teferi. They will not be able to cast spells on our turn. They untap 2 lands. We untap. We draw Walking Ballista. Walking Ballista X5 does not kill Teferi. I don't want to animate Trinisphere because that makes it easier for them to remove. So we just cast a big ol' Eldrazi. Take out Shark Typhoon, take out Teferi. Well, take out the token, I mean. This way Karn sticks around on the battlefield and will provide additional pressure. Okay. Ulamog resolves. Karn upticks. Pass the turn. Yeah, that's right. Can't ice to draw cards. Can't shut off Trinisphere that way. It has the old artifact text of needs to remain untapped, but nice try trying to ice it on my end step with 2 mana. Alright. Opponent plays Teferi. They're going to tuck Ulamog. We untap and draw Karn Liberated. So... I kind of want to animate 3-ball and kill Teferi, but... I could play Ballista and ping him and then have Karn hit the field. Yeah, let's do that. You must pay at least 3 mana to cast this. X is 1. Why can't I click done? You must pay at least 3 mana. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Click done to finish paying, but done doesn't show up. Trinisphere and Walking Ballista have a bug? I should be able to play Walking Ballista on 1. Well, that's annoying. Maybe you got to pay 6? No, that's not how that works. You declare cost, and then Trinisphere says if it's less than 3, it gets upgraded to 3, basically. Well, we'll cast another Ulamog. Opponent says, need help. Wow. We'll pass to second main, and uptick Karn so he sticks around. Pass the turn. Try paying 2 and then clicking done. Done doesn't show up, unfortunately, but good call. I mean, they can hard cast Solitude to kill Ulamog and put us at 30. But if they do that, I'm going to go get Sundering Titan, and opponent's going to be sad. Okay, we untap. We draw a Chromatic Sphere. Go to combat. I did click adjust, and it did not change. So, if it comes up again, I'll try it. Which, I can try it this turn, but I don't really want to. So we'll hit our opponent for 10. They just don't exile the top however many cards. I could have Boseiju'd. I just didn't want to give my opponent extra mana. Yeah, let's get Sundering Titan. If they're going to tap out just a cantrip, let's get Sundering Titan. Oh, I'd have to Boseiju to Sundering Titan. So let's Karn. Let's just do that. Play Karn. New Hollowed Fountain. Okay, opponent scoops. Okay, Wilts and Force in. 1-0 Stone can go on the Wishboard. Ugin, Ballista, Ulamog, still good. We could play other Ulamog if we wanted to as well. Just to have more on-cast triggers for the late game. Does opponent need help? I don't want to be a dick. But that is funny. Wurmcoil is probably the worst here, because, like, unless they Supreme Verdict, everything else they do exiles it or puts it back in the deck. So I'm actually going to cut Wurmcoil. O-Stone's still important to have in the main deck. Wilt is good because of the cycling and the potential for, like, a spreading seize. I think I'm actually going to go to 2 Force of Vigor. I'm not going to bring in all 3. If I want to run the other Ulamogs, I need to cut something. It's probably Ballista. Ballista is really good, but if I'm going to try and go, like, ultra late game, which I should not be doing, I've got a feeling this is actually a dumb idea. But, you know what? Let's cut the Ballistas. We'll cut 2 Ballistas. We'll keep 1 in the main deck. And I'll cut a Relic. Yeah, we got Natural Tron, so... I mean, if you got Natural Tron, there's not a lot of reason not to keep it. We draw a Force. Force is a nice thing to have. Lead on Power Plant. Should have technically led on Mine for the art alignment. So there's a punt by means of art. Okay. We do have Sanctum. So I'm actually not going to run out Ballista on 1 here. If my opponent doesn't tap out for like a 3-mana Teferi here, and they counter our Karn, then the Ballista is more important to like start fetching Ulamogs and stuff. Big Karn is higher value, so we're just going to do that. Fully expecting this to get countered. Yep. Okay. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent plays a Flooded Strand, then passes. We untap. We draw a Forest. I don't want to sack Sanctum right away, but I do want it on board. So we'll play Sanctum and play Karn. Okay, another Archmage's Charm. Well, every time they cast an Archmage's Charm to counterspell, they're not drawing cards with it, which means odds are they're going to have less counterspells. They play a Breeding Pool. This is probably a Prismatic Ending hedge. Like, it's not a... it's looking like a 5-mana Teferi, possibly. 3-mana Teferi, okay. Opponent downticks to draw a card. We untap and draw another Karn. Play a Forest. Play another Karn. If this one resolves, we're wishing for Sundering Titan and then playing out Ballista. Spell Pierce? Sure. It's not that big of a deal. Why are you playing Spell Pierce in a control deck, opponent? I could ping Teferi with this Ballista. Yeah, we're going to do that. I mean, they went and played out a whole bunch of different basic land types, so Sundering Titan's going to be extra good. Red-green. Okay, so this is Prismatic Ending on Karn. That means the last card in their hand has to be Counterspell or they're getting Sundering Titaned. Very effective. There's another Karn Liberated, so let's play a Blast Zone. Play a Sundering Titan. We will sack to get Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. Oof. Oh, opponent. Goodbye. That was brutal. I think... So they wanted to fetch Breeding Pool to Prismatic Ending Karn. That was the whole goal, was to power up their Prismatic Ending, and at the same time... I mean, I guess that was before we wished for Sundering Titan, but they have to know we play Sundering Titan, right? It's not like it's a secret. Well, either way, let's open our treasure chests. Treasure chest number 1, 5 play points. Dross Harvester, Skyfire Kirin, and a Nashi Moonsage's Scion avatar. Treasure chest number 2, we get 5 play points, a Mass Calcify, and a Psychic Intrusion. Treasure chest number 3, we get 5 play points, a Gallia of the Endless Dance, and a Mist Syndicate Naga. Treasure chest number 4, we get 15 play points and a Vault of the Archangel. And treasure chest number 5, 10 play points and a Drownyard Temple. All right, so for those of you who are watching this replay on YouTube with all the dead air cut out of it, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined, and remember you can follow me over on Twitch if you want to catch this kind of content live. It's been a ton of fun playing. Lots of people have been enjoying it, so if you want to hear more from me, feel free to join Discord, where link should be in the description below, or link should be on my Twitch page, same username everywhere. I have a Patreon, and the credits, that sequence that you'll see right after this in the video on YouTube, is to thank them. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.